for joining me today. We're going to do something a little bit different, actually kind of completely different for some of you, and for others maybe this is something you've already been doing, but if you're not already familiar with the Five Tibetan Rites, I highly recommend take a little time and just do some reading on where these movements come from, why they are done in the way that they're done, why they're sacred, and a lot of the same type of movement and posture that you see is very similar to other things that we do in sort of modern style vinyasa yoga, right? Vinyasa always meaning that we're connecting a breath to a movement. And even more so in the case of the Tibetan rites, if you've ever done any Kundalini yoga, it will remind you very much of doing kriyas, right? Sets of movement, because that is exactly what the rites are. 5 different movements repeated 21 times. Now, please know, it's very important to know this. Working up to 21 repetitions takes a while. You probably are not going to jump right into that right away. It is an intense number to work toward. So I will do 21 today, but please know that you are welcome to start with 3 reps. Maybe that's plenty. Maybe you try 5, maybe you try 10, and then you can always just sit, rest, and wait until the next set of movements begins. So I just want to make that very clear that you are in no way, shape, or form expected to jump right into doing all 21. I will say this is something that I've done on and off in my life over the last decade, and when I do stay really committed to trying to do this on a daily basis, or even just trying to do this during my Monday through Friday and then taking the weekends off, unbelievably beneficial. More so than anything, the mental clarity part is what I have realized. But the Tibetan rites are often referred to as the fountain of youth. And I will say that I've met a lot of people who have practiced these rites for years on end, and they are some of the happiest, healthiest people that I know. So don't take my word for it, try it yourself, see what you think. We will do a little bit of breathing to start and a little bit of breathing at the end. So 2 pranayamas and then the 5 Tibetan rites. As time goes on, you'll get quicker and you'll be able to get all of this done like, in 10 minutes or less. But please don't feel the need to rush yourself, especially in the beginning. Don't feel the need to take yourself to exhaustion at any point, because that's not the point. The point is to increase energy, and the reason that this set of movements work so well together is because they're working on your glandular system. They're bringing energy not just to the glands of the body and helping us kind of cleanse what we don't need to hang on to, but also to your nervous system. And we don't want to overload the nervous system. That's not the point, right? We want to work slowly and gradually over time so that we really feel like we're in control of these movements and that we're able to breathe and that we feel okay throughout the process, and that we feel even better when we're done. So just start with me in a comfortable seated position, and we are simply going to slow down, close the eyes for a moment or two. Just rest your hands on your thighs or your knees and sit up really tall, and just take some slow, smooth, steady breaths in and out. And if you're able to do this through your nose, even better. So breathe in, breathe out. Real simple here. Perhaps for the first time in your day, just bringing all of your undivided attention and awareness to the sound and the feel of your breath. That's all you have to do. And notice that with a little bit of effort, you feel like you can get past that shallow breathing that stays in your lungs, and you can start to extend your breath further down. Begin to breathe into your belly. Just taking full advantage of your complete capacity for breath. As much inhale as you can hold in the body. And then exhale until you're completely empty. There's not a drop of air left. Really push it all out. And you might even feel that little space for just a moment there where you're completely empty, and then you start again. There may be a little hold at the top of that breath, and then you let it all out. Those little holds at the top and the bottom of the breath, by the way, they're called kumbhaka. Antara kumbhaka is the hold that happens at the top. And baya kumbhaka is the hold that happens at the bottom. And you don't have to force them. Just notice that there is that little moment there where you're completely full and then when you're completely empty. Make a commitment to being fully present now from here on out until we find ourselves in Shavasana in a little while from now. Remember that it's okay to take things at your own pace. It's okay to modify these movements. It's okay to challenge yourself if that seems appropriate. But above and beyond everything else, we are here to breathe and just loosen up the body a little bit. So let your eyes open up. All right. You're going to come on up to stand. The very first of the Tibetan rites is this spinning around in a clockwise motion. And I will highly recommend that you don't do this one on your mat. Because once you get spinning around, it's easy to catch your feet on the edge of your mat and trip and fall down, which has happened to me several times, more times than I'd like to admit. So I no longer do this one on my mat. If you're an old pro, maybe you can. Pretty simple. This one seems to take the most getting used to for a lot of people because you will get dizzy. No matter how accustomed you get to this, there will be times where you feel like you just need to slow down and take a few breaths. So don't feel like you have to keep spinning if you don't want to. You can try a couple reps, see how it goes. Always in a clockwise direction. So arms come out to a T. Keep your feet wide. You don't want to do this with a short stance because it'll be, again, a little bit clumsy. You just want to keep your feet really wide. And then spot a certain point. Pick a drishti point somewhere. If you've ever taken a dance class, you know how to spot a turn, right? It just means you're going to bring your gaze point back to that same spot every time you come around, and this will help you not get so dizzy, right? So clockwise, which would be to your right when you're ready. Take it around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can stop whenever you need to. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, eyes wide open. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Slow down. Let your hands relax for a moment. Keep your eyes open so that you don't get even dizzier. You'll feel like you're still moving. Sometimes it feels like the room is still moving. And then when that slows down a little bit, bring the hands up, palms come together. They come into heart center. And then if it feels okay to close your eyes now, close your eyes and just stand still for a few breaths. So that first Tibetan rite is really used to honestly just shake up the energy in your body. to bring all of your senses to life, and most of all, to give you the opportunity to kind of let go of any negative emotion, almost like you're hitting the spin cycle and flinging out anything that you don't need to hang on to anymore. Makes you feel a little bit silly, makes you feel like a kid again and again. Every time you come through this posture, you'll feel a little bit different. So remember, some days you might not need all 21 rotations. As time goes on, the idea is to move as quickly and efficiently as you can without feeling like you're out of control at any point, right? All right, when you feel steady, now we can come back to the mat, and we're going to start on the second of the rites here. And this one is specifically to target your abdominal region. So there is a good core work part involved here. I'll show you how to modify this as well. And remember, you don't have to do 21. It's taken me a long time to work up to 21 reps of things, and that's okay. That's the idea, is that you're supposed to start slowly. I just can't emphasize that enough. I think a lot of people jump into this too quickly and then they don't stick with it because it's too overwhelming. So the next thing that we do here is we're going to do leg lifts, and every time we bring the legs up, the idea is that you also lift your shoulder blades and your hands stretch into this sort of Pilates style. For those of you who've ever taken a Pilates class, you know this from when you do the hundreds, right? But all we're going to do is just relax the body down, start basically from Shavasana, and then lift up and squeeze. Now, if lifting the upper body is too much, the modification would just be to lift and lower the legs. And if you needed to modify more, you could put your hands underneath your glutes. You could just lift and lower the legs a little bit. You know, whatever is right for you. I'll do the full variation, but you can do as many as you'd like. Rest when you need to. We start flat on the back. Okay, and then deep breath in here. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Exhale, lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Think about squeezing all of that exhale out. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Lie it down, and then just take a little miniature Shavasana here. Slow your breathing down, find some stillness. If you'd like, bring your hands, one to your heart center, one to your navel center, and again, feel your chest and belly rise and fall. So no matter how efficient you get at this, how quickly you can get through it, it's always recommended that you take at least a minute in between the rites if you've got the time to just let the body slow down, Bare minimum would be, 5 or 6 deep breaths before you go on to the next thing, just to check in with your body. And give each of these movements a little bit of time to just be absorbed. And then you can help yourself up slowly, or you can bring your knees in or roll to one side, whichever you like. And the next version, we do up on the knees. I'll show you some modifications here again before we go. This is essentially, for those of you who practice a lot of yoga, camel pose position. And the hands go a little bit further down the thighs. So instead of hands on the low back, in the Tibetan Rites version, the hands just stay right here, and all it is a lean back on the inhale, and then chin into the chest on the exhale. That's it. I have seen versions where people go up and down in this pose. That's not necessary. This is more about heart center, throat center, so Anahata chakra, Vishuddha chakra, this opening up of basically from your heart to your throat, to your third eye center. So the up and down, I think that's just an extra variation that some people like to include the low body, but definitely not the traditional way of doing it. It's not wrong, it's just unnecessary. If you needed something that wasn't so intense, then of course, hands on the low back, and you basically just gonna push your hips forward and release. Push your hips forward and release. If you can't be on your knees that way, you could do your hands behind you on the ground like this, and just tilt the head back and pull the chin in. And tilt the head back and pull the chin in. And then last but not least, of course, would be maybe just trying to sit in hero and do it from there. If those other versions were also a little too much, then you could make this kind of seated cat and cow movement. You can see I'm just moving my spine forward and back. Okay, so if you're coming for full variation, remember 21 can be a lot, so do what you want to do. Hands are on your upper thighs, not on your butt and not on your back, unless you're modifying, and then absolutely, do what you need to. I literally wrap my fingers right around my glutes and basically just hold on to my butt, right? And then here we go, inhale back, exhale, chin into the chest. So you're just coming to an upright. You don't need to round forward or anything like that, all right? Inhale. Exhale, chin to the chest. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Rest if you need to. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. Slowly again, keep your eyes open. You're just going to sit back on your heels. Bring your hands out here onto your thighs or your knees. Wait for your breathing to slow down, and if you feel a little woozy, a little dizzy, that's to be expected. Just let those sensations pass you by, and then if you know that it's okay for you to close your eyes, you might close your eyes for a breath or two. You can continue to sit and rest as long as you need. We are going to move on to the next one here, just to keep things moving. Next kriya, or set, in this case, remember that these are called rites, R-I-T-E, is to move between two different postures. Again, very familiar poses for yogis. The first of which is called Dandasana, staff pose, and it's just sitting up really tall with your chin pulled into your chest, your feet flexed, and your hands are pushing down into the mat. So you try to keep your back as long as possible. In this particular posture, all three bandhas of the body are engaged. Mula bandha, pulling that root lock up, so all the muscles below your belly button are squeezing and lifting up. Uddiyana bandha, directly behind the navel, lifting up. And then chin to the chest is called Jalandhara bandha, and that's this little throat locking of really containing that energy between your throat and the root of your body, right? So that's Dandasana. There's a lot more going on there than there seems to be, right? Kind of looks like not much of a posture, but it's very internalized. And then the second part of the movement is to come back into this modified reverse plank, where we slide the feet in, hands slide back a couple inches, and then we just push up and let the head drop back as much as it feels good. If you need to keep your chin on your chest because you don't like dropping the head back, that's okay, right? And then you just come back to Dandasana. You don't have to go to a forward fold. I've seen that version too. Again, it's just extra movement that you don't need to put in there. It's extraneous. This is really about just locking, unlocking, locking, unlocking. So if you can't lift your body up off the ground, then just put your hands behind you and lift your heart like this. And then rock forward and bring your chin in. So that would be the modification for this one. All right, I highly recommend exhaling as deeply and sharply as you can. And on this one, I like to exhale out my mouth. It just feels good. And it tends to give me a little bit more of that feeling like I'm letting something out, I'm letting something go. So we'll start in Dandasana. Remember, all three bandhas engaged. Mula bandha, Uddiyana bandha, Jalandhara bandha. Press the hands down, flex the feet. Slide the hands back and lift up. Inhale, down. Exhale back. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Remember, you can take breaks or go slower. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. All right, lower yourself back down. Now go ahead and just come forward and find Paschimottanasana, a little seated forward fold. Let your head drop in, relax and breathe. And so we just have one more after this. You've completed 4 of the 5 so far. Good for you. Like I said, they take a little bit of, a little bit of getting used to. As time goes on, you can just write yourself a little list. They do go in this order: the spinning in a circle first, leg lift second, that camel forward and back is third, the one we just did, tabletop to Dandasana, is fourth, and then you'll see the 5th one. And it is important that they stay in that order. It's just how they're presented, right? This is how the sequence goes. If I have time, like to do a little forward fold after those tabletops for a good minute or 2. And you can really do any forward folding that you'd like. You could do, Baddha Konasana if you wanted to open up your hips a little bit more. Or you could make a little straddle pose here. Again, this is just my routine, meaning that these are the things that I do in between, but you could just certainly sit, take a little bit of time to meditate or breathe, and then move on to the next one when the moment strikes and it feels right for you. I'm just giving you a little bit of kind of my flavor here. Okay, and then let's get the last one out of the way. This one is, I think, physically the most intense, especially if you are not particularly mobile in your shoulders. Over time, you will be mobile in your shoulders if you work on this. It just might not be the most comfortable thing for you right away, and that's okay. It's gonna take a little bit of time. I'll show you first what the movement is. It's essentially going from down dog to up dog with your toes tucked the entire time, right? So in vinyasa class, we come through this tabletop position and we lower down and we do chaturanga. We see how my feet untuck there, and then we pull through into up dog or cobra. That's not what's gonna happen here. My toes are gonna stay tucked under the whole time, and I'm just going to shift right through that plank position and let my hips drop. They're not gonna touch the ground unless I'm gonna modify it. And then of course you can put your knees down and that's fine. The full-blown modification here would be to not do down dog and just press child's pose and forward like this, right? Child's pose. And then just stretching the hips forward. So really loosening up the low back, loosening up the hip flexors, and then there's not really all that much intensity in the shoulders. Full-blown version, again, is gonna look like this. We're gonna pull all the way through, thighs, knees, everything off the mat. Toes are tucked, and then exhale to down dog. You look up and in for your belly button. Okay, so try the movement one more time and just see. Again, in the beginning, you might need to just start low. It will take some time for your wrists to build up strength here as well, so don't be surprised if you get a little bit achy in that wrist joint. It's just gonna take some time. Be patient with your body. Do what you can do. We are not in the business of trying to kind of torture ourselves, right? Okay, ready, set, here we go. Last one. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3. You are using your core here as well, obviously. 4, 5. You don't have to throw your head back in that up dog. You can just gaze up with your eyes. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's okay to slow down a little bit. Take breaks when you need them. I'm slowing down here a tad. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Wherever you're at, press back to your child's pose position, turn your hands up, wiggle your fingers a little bit. Open and close the palms of your hands, or maybe you even want to draw your palms to face the ceiling, slump the shoulders forward. I like to push the knuckle side of my hand down into the ground like this, and just let my elbows kind of pop up and stretch my wrist from the other side after that one. Big exhales. So you wait in child's pose until you feel like you're back in control of your breath. And there's your first full 5 Tibetans. Do not be surprised if for the next hour or so you have a spike in energy. That usually happens. You might feel like you've got some new space in your brain. I often have a whole bunch of great ideas after I do this practice, just kind of frees up something in the mind. And it's a great thing to practice if you're particularly in a negative mood. I do this all the time if I wake up in a bad mood, or I'm just hung up on something, or I'm just ruminating on a specific thought and I can't seem to get it out of my head. I'll get on the mat, or just find a quiet place in my house. And that's the great thing about this, you can do it anywhere. You can do it outside in the grass in the summertime, which is nice too, because it's just a different experience, but really accessible to anybody, and you can do it for your whole life. It's like a practice that will last a lifetime, right? So I promised you that we would finish with a pranayama as well, and let's do that here. I will offer you 2 different pranayamas here, but I would suggest that you either do one or the other at the end of your practice, just depending on what the mood might be. So the first one would be if you're feeling like you just want to keep yourself kind of calm and balanced and in that grounded physical space and head space, then practice a little alternate nostril breathing here. And you just let your left hand rest. You can keep the palm up or turn it down. You can make a mudra with this hand if that helps you focus. And then the other mudra will happen with your right hand. When you are going to make any mudra in a pranayama, it's always going to be your right hand if you're going to touch your face, right hand. You can look up the reasons for that on your own, but it is traditional that you use your right. The easiest way to do this is to make this kind of hang loose, like, whoa, surf's up, and just use your thumb and your pinky. Traditionally, you use the ring finger and the thumb, and the first 2 fingers tuck down. That just takes a little bit of getting used to, but do what works for you. Like I said, this is sometimes just easiest to get you going. So find your hand position, turn your fingers towards your face, And now plug up the right side of your nose. All right, so I'm just gonna plug my right nostril and I'm gonna breathe in through the left. I'm gonna close the left with my pinky and breathe out my right. I'm gonna go back in through the right, close, out through the left. In through the left, close, out through the right. In through the right, out through the left. In through the left, out through the right. In through the right, out through the left. Again, in the left, out the right, in through the right, out through the left. Try a couple more rounds on your own. Next time, you breathe out your left nostril. And just relax both hands down for a moment. Breathe in through both nostrils. Exhale out your mouth. In through both. Out through your mouth. And this is where I really try to just let out whatever trying to get rid of. Good. So I would say that a good place to start with these pranayamas is with the alternate nostril. Try to work up to just being able to do it for 2 minutes. Time goes on, you want to do it for 5, set a little timer on your phone, or just feel it out. You know, a time will come where you feel good and then you just let it be, sit for a moment. Maybe just meditate on something positive, something that you're happy and grateful for. And you can sit with that for as long as you'd like. After which I would say take a little Shavasana if you've got time. The other pranayama that I would suggest at the end is if you are having a day where you know you're going to need a lot of energy and a lot of very specific focus and attention, and maybe you know you're going to need to be kind of brave and extra strong that day, then do some breath of fire at the end. Breath of fire, 2 different versions I can show you. The most traditional version is to always do the exhalations out through your nose, if possible, pardon me. They are short, quick exhales out your nose, and you know, boogers are gonna go flying. I don't know a nice way to say that. You might lose some snot on this one. It's your snot. Don't be afraid. You know, have a tissue nearby if you need. The exhalations out the nose are from pumping breath through your belly. Do not focus on your inhalation. just focus on your exhale. What I mean by that is that we're not going to do this. We're not going to pull in and exhale out. That will just lead you to hyperventilate, and that's not what we want to do. We just want to focus on the exhale. The inhale will just naturally kind of happen in between. So what it ends up sounding like is this. And you can see that my belly is going in and out. This is no time to be vain. Let your whole belly relax and move in and out. You want to really get full advantage of just being able to pull in and out, and you really want to relax your belly in between. So it's okay, you know, get all of your belly out there and then snap it back in. That is the traditional way. If you have a hard time breathing out your nose, or you just want to start with a different method and see if you like it, then you can make exhales out your mouth, and you use the mouth shape that you would make to say ch, like chocolate or cheese, right? Ch, ch. And then just push the exhales out like this. Ch, 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 ch. You can see that my belly is still pumping, and I'm still focusing on just the exhale. I'm not breathing in and out, I'm just breathing out. When it comes to breath of fire, you do as many as it's comfortable for you. I have taken the time over a long period of time to work up to 108. That is sort of my sacred number when it comes to breath of fire. And it's recommended that you do them as quickly as you can without feeling too overwhelmed. So join me for as many as you would like. I'm going to do 108, after which I'll lay down into Shavasana and bid you farewell, and you're welcome to take your rest at that time as well. So start with a great big inhale. So I'm going to get resting. You do the same. I will thank you now so that you don't have to wait for me, and you can stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. Remember, this is a very extended tutorial. As you get quicker and more efficient, this will really probably only take you about 10 minutes. So something very doable for any day, any time. As always, thank you for taking good care of yourself. Thank you for spending some time on your mat today, and I'll see you very soon. Take care of each other. Namaste.